Ancient Book of Enoch. It is a book that was quite popular during the first 700 years of church history, but then faded from sight. Nobody republished it. It disappeared.
This is about a 2,000-year-old Bible that is highly controversial and is debated among the scholars from centuries. Religious authorities played a huge part in hiding this book from the mainstream, as it talks about the mysteries of the universe, demonic angels, giants who were half human and half angels, and the doomsday that can shock the human race. Despite documenting the events prior to the birth of Jesus, this book was not included in the current Bible. It contains several mysteries, and the religious authorities advises people to stay away from it, as they considered it not to be divinely inspired. But what mysteries do this book holds? Let's dive deep into the lost wisdom of the Book of Enoch. Enoch is a biblical figure mentioned in the book of Genesis, and he is the son of Jared, who lived for almost 962 years. But Enoch only lived for 365 years. It is said that any human that ever existed dies physically, but it wasn't the case with Enoch. In the book of Genesis in chapter 5, verses 21-24, it is written that Enoch never experienced physical death. He ascended to the heaven by walking with the God. It is one of the most notable aspects of Enoch's life. Enoch was a righteous man, and he was taken directly to heaven. But Enoch was not the only man who directly went to heaven. Elijah, Mary the mother of Jesus, and Jesus Christ went to heaven without experiencing the physical death, which is a common fate for human beings. Enoch even had a son named Methuselah, who lived for 969 years. Methuselah lived 7 years more than his grandfather Jared and became the longest living human figure that ever existed in the Bible. In some Jewish mystical traditions, Enoch was portrayed as a mediator between divine and human world. He had a role of a scribe who was entrusted with the preservation of sacred knowledge and who recorded the mysteries and revelations of heaven. Enoch is considered as a great mystic who had esoteric knowledge and occult wisdom. He is a prominent figure in Jewish and Christian traditions and was known by the name of Idris in the Islamic tradition. Although he was not that prominent in the book of Quran and was briefly mentioned in Quran as a righteous and patient man who was taken to heaven without experiencing physical death. Enoch is believed to have authored several writings. The most famous book among those were the Book of Enoch, but it is a matter of debate among many scholars. Although the book claims itself to be written by Enoch himself, as its starting verse mentions the words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. But many scholars disagree with it. They believe that it was not written by Enoch, but is written by several authors over centuries, and later it was compiled into the book. By looking at the book, they consider it to be a composite work with different styles, themes, and perspectives of writing that were written at different times. Although the Book of Enoch emerged around 500 BC to 70 C, scholars are skeptical over the authenticity of this book. They question whether the stories mentioned in this book are even true or if they are just made up. The unusual ideas in the book and the teachings of this book have left some people questioning its authenticity. Also, this book lacks canonical status, as it is not mentioned in the scriptures of Judaism or the majority branches of Christianity. There are different versions of this book with variations in text and teachings that make people doubtful about its accuracy and reliability, as no one knows which version is the most accurate. But as the coin has two sides, there is forbidden knowledge and revelations in this book that will make you think twice about this world. This 2,000-year-old book mentions fallen angels, cosmology, prophecies, doomsday, and world-changing revelations that you've never thought of. The fragments of the Book of Enoch were hidden in the Qiran caves. The reasons are still unknown and are still debated among scholars. Some believe that it was for preservation purposes. There are some scholars who think that it was due to some religious rituals. They believed that these scrolls were considered sacred by a significant group of people, and therefore they were stored in the cave. Back in the day, the Qumran served as a library, and these religious documents and texts were hidden in the caves deliberately to safeguard them. Nearly 78 years ago, a fascinating event happened. In the year 1946, near the Dead Sea, a Bedouin shepherd named Muhammad ate Ditchby, and so known as Muhammad the Wolf, unexpectedly stumbled upon a cave with numerous clay jars. The jars made him curious, and along with his companions, he investigated the scenario and found a collection of ancient scrolls preserved in the clay jars. Neither Muhammad nor his companions knew about the historical significance of these fragments, so they sold them to an antiques dealer in Bethlehem. This information reached some scholars and archaeologists who were astonished by such a discovery, so excavations were arranged and additional caves were found. Around 11 caves were found. In these findings, fragments of the Book of Enoch were also found, and they provided great insights into ancient traditions and mystical knowledge. These fragments revealed some information that you might find to be a fantasy, and like the scholars, you may argue over them. But if you are a believer, if you are someone who thinks that the real you is greater than this physical body, the world is not limited to physicality. There are some spiritual aspects too. Then these findings will shift your perspective. These fragments revealed something about the descent of the Watchers. The Watchers here refer to angels that decided to come down to earth. But mind you, these are not the fallen angels who were cast out of heaven for their association with Lucifer or Satan. They are a group of angels who decided to disobey God to intervene in human affairs. There were no mentions of Lucifer with these angels. They might have similarities, but they are not the same. They have their own narrative and their own roles. They came to Earth to teach humans forbidden knowledge like making nuclear weapons, magic, and cosmetics. Some of these Watchers even have relations with human women and have children with them. Their actions caused a lot of disorder on Earth, and this led to an unnatural offspring called Nephilim. Nephilim is a kind that is half human and half angel, and it is a giant that causes harm to humans and creates lots of troubles. This story is shocking, as angels are considered to be divine beings, and their acts in the Book of Enoch sound terrible. This is one of the reasons why scholars debate over this book. Another thing that was mentioned in the book was Enoch's heavenly journeys. These are his extraordinary adventures where angels come and take him on trips beyond the sky and into the heavens. As Enoch is chosen by God, he can see what normal humans are unable to witness. These magical journeys are nowhere near the ones you take on airplanes. He sees amazing things that are beyond the human intellect. He went to heaven and encountered angels and other divine beings. He witnessed the secrets of how the solar system works, how the universe was created, the structure of the cosmos, and many more. From these journeys, Enoch gained wisdom over the nature of God. He got the answers to the purpose of creation and the mysteries of the universe. All of these things sound like fairy tales to you, but for Enoch, they weren't. There was a vision of Sheol and abyss that was mentioned in this 2,000-year-old book. This vision provided a great insight into the afterlife and realms beyond the earth. On one of his journeys with angels, Enoch saw a place called Sheol, which is known as the world of the dead. While observing this world, Enoch witnessed that there were different chambers where both righteous and wicked souls were residing. The righteous were resting in peace, while the wicked were tormented and punished. He was also guided by the angels to a place called Abyss that is very dark and deep, and it is a place to punish the fallen angels and the wicked beings. Angels who are rebellious are punished for the crimes they committed. There was nothing but eternal punishment, disorder, and darkness. Then there was judgment and justice. In this vision, Enoch learns about the judgment and justice that await all the souls after their physical death on earth. The righteous are rewarded with peace, while the wicked are tormented for their crimes. Such vision tells us to live a righteous life. Enoch also saw the Son of Man in one of his visions. It was a majestic figure seated on a throne of glory, clothed gracefully. This figure is surrounded by people who worship and serve him. His role consists of coming at the end of time for divine judgment and establishing a new righteous age. He is the one who has the authority of creation and is entrusted with the task of judging the world with justice and righteousness. This controversial book also mentions prophecies that describe the destruction and end of this world. It is known as Doomsday or Judgment Day. It will occur when there is widespread corruption, violence will be at its peak, and wickedness will exceed the righteousness of the earth. The Watchers, or the angels that came to earth, will play a significant role in this corruption and will cause disorder and degradation of earth and humans. There would be disturbances in nature causing earthquakes, floods, fires, and many apocalyptic events, such as the widespread of diseases. The sun, moon, and stars would change their movements, and everything would be disordered. Then the Son of Man would come and punish those who committed sins and bless those who were righteous. This book is not for everyone. Some individuals and religious groups advise staying away from the Book of Enoch. Jewish authorities and early Christian churches rejected and excluded the Book of Enoch from the mainstream. The book had esoteric and apocalyptic content that became less relevant with time. Back in the day, this book was only preserved and transmitted by some religious communities and individuals. Also, due to the shift in religious leadership and political upheaval, the book was not widely studied and remained hidden from the mainstream. But if you are someone who is interested in mysticism and is not limited in their learning, then this book can help you with your spiritual growth. I only covered the bare minimum information about it here, so tell me in the comments, how do you feel about this? Subscribe for more such videos.